Emmanuel Macron is holding up negotiations to end the Russian and Ukrainian war, unless you stop speaking about his wife.
Donald Trump was willing to sacrifice Charlie Kirk and is willing to sacrifice every American life and livelihood for greater Israel. Who is the animal again?
So now Donald Trump is being accused of pushing for treason charges against Candace Owens, and all of this comes right after she publicly called him a genocidal lunatic and even suggested the idea of military intervention against him. And as you already know, that kind of language immediately set off alarms all over the internet. But here is where things really started to escalate. Trump did not ignore it. He responded almost instantly, calling Candace crazy and labeling her a loser. But this time the energy felt different, like it was not just another messy online argument. Because right after that back and forth, speculation started spreading that Candace's comments could actually lead to legal consequences, especially with people arguing that calling for military action crosses into extremely dangerous territory. And just when it seemed like the drama could not get any bigger, Kamala Harris suddenly entered the conversation, with reports suggesting she is backing Candace, and that instantly turned this from a personal feud into something that looks way more serious. So now people are asking, are we really about to watch a social media fight explode into something that could put one of the most famous conservative podcasters behind bars?
What I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment, and I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen, and it is happening.
What really set this whole thing off was Candace Owens jumping online and going directly at Donald Trump in a way that felt way more personal than usual, and her tone sounded like someone who had completely switched sides. She called Trump's administration a satanic administration and claimed that satanic Zionists were occupying the White House, before labeling Trump the Mad King and saying he needed to be removed. She even went as far as suggesting world leaders should act accordingly, which a lot of people took as her hinting at outside intervention. And the moment those words started spreading, the internet reaction was instant. Because as you guys already know, Candace had been publicly aligned with Trump for a long time, so seeing her suddenly describe him as unstable and surrounded by religious extremists felt like a massive shift, and that had everyone trying to figure out what could have happened for her to flip this hard this fast. At first, some people thought she was simply reacting to the latest backlash surrounding the administration. The timing made it look like she was just adding fuel to criticism that was already growing. But that explanation did not last long, because insiders started hinting this was not just about politics. According to the whispers, Candace's anger allegedly came from something much more personal. It wasn't only about Trump's policies, it was also about what she believes is a cover-up surrounding the death of her close friend Charlie Kirk, a cover-up she claims the US government is involved in.
Kind of sickens me, as it should. It should. If you were 2015, 2016 running around in MAGA hat, catching all of the figurative bullets for supporting him, standing up to the never Trumpers who are now running his administration, this level of deceit and betrayal should sicken you, right? The human spirit isn't really meant to contend with that sort of deceit. You're not supposed to even fathom a scenario where someone like Charlie Kirk quite literally dedicates his entire professional career, builds up an organization meant to help Trump, to empower Trump, conservative principles, one way or the other. And in return, when Charlie Kirk is assassinated in front of the world, Trump just dedicates a total of two tweets, 3 tweets at most.
Now, even before Candace ever posted that Mad King statement, there were already signs that Trump's support base was not as locked in as it used to be. Especially with the escalating situation involving Iran, a lot of people inside MAGA circle started quietly questioning his decisions. And it was not just random critics either. Some of his biggest allies began pulling back in ways that were hard to ignore. Take former counterterrorism chief Joe Kent. His resignation seemed to come out of nowhere, and at first it left people confused because he was not someone who had shown any public disagreement with Trump before. So when he suddenly stepped down, it immediately raised eyebrows. But then Kent started doing interviews, and that is when things began to make more sense. He explained that he could not in good conscience support a government he believed was fueling genocide and putting American lives at risk through unnecessary wars. And once those comments started circulating, people began connecting the dots. Now this is where Candace Owens enters the story again. In one of those interviews, Kent also hinted at something else that grabbed attention. He brought up the possibility of a government cover-up surrounding Charlie Kirk's murder, saying it felt strange when he was suddenly ordered to drop certain leads. According to him, every time he tried to push further or ask questions, he was shut down almost immediately.
I don't think we really even got very far. And so I can't say that like, hey, there's this one thing that I think is hotter of a lead than another lead. We had a decent amount of leads because there was a big crowd there that day. Charlie had an international following, right? So we were just at the very beginning of doing basic investigatory work on foreign leads. So I honestly, I can't even tell you on or off the record, like, hey, this one thing. There's a couple specific things that I would, if I were put back on the case, I would start looking at immediately because I think they require attention that I can't get into. But just doing the basic, I would say, curious investigator work 101, we didn't get started.
When Candace heard that part, her reaction was intense because, as you guys already know, she had been questioning Charlie's death from the very start. So hearing someone from inside the system hint at interference felt like confirmation of everything she had been suspecting. And from that moment on, the doubt she had been quietly suggesting started pointing in one clear direction. So by the time she went online and called Trump the Mad King, it no longer felt random at all.
Trump has shown more interest in debunking the mainstream media narrative about whether or not he's balding than he showed any interest in investigating who murdered a person who was supposed to be his dear friend.
Now, it did not take long for Trump to respond, and when he finally did, he did not hold anything back. He went straight to his Truth Social account and posted a long, sharp message that felt less like a reply and more like an outright attack. And what made it even more intense is that he did not stop at Candace Owens. He brought several other conservative figures into it as well. He mentioned Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and Alex Jones, all of whom had recently criticized his administration, especially over the Iran situation. Trump said they were all aligned in opposition to him, and he dismissed them as low IQ personalities chasing attention and relevance. He also pointed out that they had all been pushed off mainstream television, lost major platforms, and were now surviving on smaller podcasts just to stay visible. Then he broke it down person by person. He called Tucker Carlson a fool and mocked him for dropping out of college. He labeled Megyn Kelly as nasty and referred to Alex Jones as a bankrupt loser. At that point, it was obvious this was not just political disagreement anymore. It felt deeply personal. But the most controversial moment came when he turned back to Candace Owens. He referred to her as crazy Candace Owens and brought up her past dispute involving the French First Lady. He even added that the First Lady was far more beautiful than Candace, saying it was not even close. And once that line started circulating online, the tone of the entire feud shifted again, because it was no longer just about politics or loyalty. It had become a very public and very bitter confrontation that neither side seemed willing to step away from. Once the exchange went public, reactions split immediately. Some people defended Trump, saying Candace was the one who escalated first by calling him unstable and calling for his removal. Others saw it differently and argued she was simply saying out loud what many inside MAGA circles were already thinking, that supporting Trump was becoming harder to justify. And Candace did not step back. Instead, she escalated further, saying the 25th Amendment should be invoked and calling Trump a genocidal lunatic. She went even further, claiming Congress and the military needed to step in, because in her words, things had crossed a line. Once that statement spread, the tone shifted again, because now even within conservative spaces, calls for consequences began to grow louder. Some voices said her comments had gone too far and crossed into dangerous territory. A few even went as far as calling for legal action against her. At the same time, Candace was not losing support either. Many online users began backing her, saying she was finally speaking the truth. One comment read, "We all know she is right. Everyone behind Trump is an ignorant and arrogant maniac." Another supported her idea of military intervention, saying, "Why can't the US military intervene? Clearly Trump has lost the capacity to make rational decisions." And as both sides hardened, the situation only became more intense. But just when it seemed like things could not escalate further, another name entered the discussion, Kamala Harris. And while nothing has been confirmed, rumors started circulating that Kamala might be trying to bring Candace closer to her side. Now this is what makes the speculation so surprising. Candace and Kamala have never been politically aligned. Candace is a conservative commentator, Kamala is a Democrat, and their past interactions have been openly critical. Candace has previously described Kamala as inauthentic and difficult during political commentary, so the idea of any alignment between them seemed unlikely at first. But with Candace now publicly breaking with Trump, some people started noticing a rare point of overlap. Both are currently pushing back against him in different ways. That is what sparked speculation that there could be some temporary common ground. Online theories quickly escalated from there, with some suggesting Kamala could attempt to bring Candace into her broader political circle, while others floated even bigger ideas about future campaign strategy. And if anything like that ever materialized, it wouldn't just deepen this feud, it would completely reshape the political lines people assumed were fixed. And the most striking part is that nothing about this situation looks like it is calming down. If Trump actually moves forward with legal threats, then what started as an online clash could shift into something far more serious. And once that happens, there may be no easy way to pull it back.